you are, you meaning the Father here, the only true God, and Jesus who you have sent. Now listen to this. Listen, very interesting. Let me please. Because now you said that you want to bring the New Testament into the equation. And by the way, Christologically, the book of John, which is not part of the Synoptic Gospels, has the highest Christology. Now we're talking about the book of John here, which in John chapter 17 verse 3, it says that God is the only true, the Father, you are the only true God is the Father, yeah? It's not even says the word Father is not even in the verse. You are the only true God, and conjunctive, and there's a conjunctive.
So
And,
what
wait,
does it mean?
no, let me tell you. And Jesus, who you have sent.
So what does this
Now,
what does it imply?
let me tell you what it implies. This was so problematic. Augustine, who was a 5th century scholar, the highest in his era, who wrote a whole book on the Trinity called De Trinitatis, about the Trinity. Voluminous, compendious book that I think one of the biggest in Christian history. He said this verse is so problematic that it has to be readdressed. He actually changes this verse. The word "and," because it says here that you, the only true God, God, Father, only true God, and Jesus who you have sent, which is almost identical to the Islamic Shahada, which is La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, for example. At the time of Jesus would have been La ilaha illallah, wa Isa Rasulullah, which is that there's only one God worthy of it, there's only one true God, and there is the prophets. And that's we go back to the Bible now, book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 222, which is that he's a man amongst men, sent with wonders and miracles and signs, which God did through him. That's what it says in the Bible, right? So what I'm saying to you is that it seems to me that the Islamic notion that there's only one God worthy of worship, that Jesus was a Messiah and a messenger, you can make an argument from the New Testament corpus that this is the most sensible reading. That's why some secular historians like Bar Ehrman and others, they actually said that this was what Jesus was, a messianic prophet, quote unquote. He purported to be a messianic prophet. The idea that he's part of a trinity or a family of a co-equal, eternal with the Father and the Son. As we said, this is a development. The early Christians like the Ebionites and others did not believe in that. Yes, these groups, it's not even clear in the Bible. There's no Trinity verse in the Bible, and you're finding it difficult. And I'll give you another chance here, but you're finding it difficult to address that. How is it the case? My only question I had to you: how is it the case that you'll find in the Old Testament that all of the prophets that came, Abraham and Moses and all of those ones, they had a very clear idea of what God was, which is one God worthy of worship. There was no conception of a Trinity which says that there are three co-equal and co-eternal persons of that Trinity. And then you have this development after the inception of Christianity, 4th century to be precise, which now has a crystallized creedal formulation of the Trinity, which includes three co-equal and co-eternal persons of the Trinity. That is inconsistent. Christianity today is inconsistent with the teachings. My claim is actually the opposite of your claim, exactly the opposite of it. I'm saying Christianity today is completely opposed to the message of the prophets, the Old Testament prophets, Jesus himself, who clearly made it the case known that there's only one God worthy of worship. How do you square this circle? How do you do it? How do you make it consistent?
Well, it's just you're not proving anything. You're
Okay.
saying words,
Yeah.
but I'm proving within the language.
Okay.
I'm giving reference what the previous prophet said.
Yeah.
And then within what I've presented to you, the language is so clear. God, who is seated in the throne, associate himself with his anointed. And then he become, let's say, he's unpleased to see men trying to separate him and his anointed. And when we go to verse 10, he's actually calling all the kings of the earth to kiss the Son. So he's calling that we need to honor the Son. And then he said, blessed are those who put their trust in him. He's not saying to him, but he said to his Son. Blessed are those who put their trust in him. I'm saying the message which I'm hearing is different from the message I'm hearing from Muhammad. So when in John 10:13, when he says the Jew what did they understood when he says the Son of Man? And I think you missed that point. What he was referring to? He was referring to the divine figure, which was already revealed by the prophet. And where is it? In the book of Daniel. Daniel 13, it says, I was watching in a night vision, and behold, one like the Son of Man, coming with a cloud of heaven. He came to the Ancient of Days, who is God. Yeah? And they brought him near him. Then to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations and languages should serve him. So when he was claiming to be that divine, that Son of God,
it's the Son of Man, right?
Yeah?
It's the Son of Man, right?
The Son of Man, because he took on flesh. You see, he was divine, according to Micah 5:2. Yeah? He was from everlasting, but when he incarnate, when he became,
I understand.
He was incarnate. That's why he's referred the Son of God, the Son of Man.
No, I mean in that quotation, the Son of Man, right?
In this quotation, because now he already was incarnate. So this is like a prophecy that shall be revealed. So in this context, he was like a Son of Man because he took already on humanity. So when we look even now in this context, there's no one come to the throne of Allah. No one can be equal to Allah. But when we read the scripture, what the prophet understood and what the Jew understood when he said was the Son of Man, and they said blasphemy, they was referring to the scripture written already. So they said he was claiming equality to God. But then Jesus to said, you being a human being, simple human being, you were given this title to be God, but how much whom the Father has sanctified for himself. And that's what I gave you, Isaiah 44. Isaiah 44, God says, him and his Redeemer are one. He's the last and the first. So in this context, you understand what Jesus was saying. It's in harmony with the Old Testament. Hold on. So I'm saying this is not the language of the Quran.
Okay, can I respond?
So I'm gonna finish.
And then I'll just say one last thing and we can call it a day.
Conclude. So my point again, my contention was from the beginning I make a claim. Allah, in terms of principle, he does not enter creation. So which is mean, he never entered creation. As far as we know, Moses, who received the law, God met God.
Okay.
Yeah, met God.
Okay.
God wrote the 10 Commandments. It was given to him.
Okay.
Written by God. Yeah. So within the context, the teaching of Islam, there's no way Allah can be Yahweh.
Okay.
They're different.
So I understand.
And then for Muhammad also, I said he cannot be a true prophet because his teaching is contrary to the previous prophet. And I've clearly laid that out, and I gave references. Okay. And then it's up to you. You did not address any of them.
Okay.
You said that you worship one God, but within that one God, I show you there is a unity of the Father and the Son.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think what's not been addressed is my overarching argument, which is that in the Old Testament you find all these prophets, like Abraham and Moses and so on, talk about one God worthy of worship. And in the New Testament, you'll find no mention of the Trinity. In the Old Testament, you find no mention of the Trinity. I understand. I know. Let me explain. When I say the Trinity, I'm talking about in its formulations of three equal and three eternal persons.
So I apologize.
No problem. Okay, but let me just. No, it's fine. We'll do it next time. But what I'm saying is that there's a good reason for you not to address that. It's because there's no way to address it. And the second thing is this: is that I will say to you that what you've just mentioned in the book of Daniel is neither here nor there, because it doesn't actually say, like you said yourself, it's the Son of Man. Okay, and there's it's going to be the ascension, the doctrine of the ascension, or it's going to be with God. It doesn't mean anything about. It doesn't say anything about him being equal to God as you purported. You alleged that it says that this is going to be. It's going to be given the dominion. Yes.
John 10.
But as we said, we've already dealt with John 10:30 and 33, and we talked about.
But I gave you the right context.
But we've said that you have to look at John chapter 10 verse 33. And you also have to look at John chapter 10 verse 34. And you mentioned now Isaiah chapter 44, where you talked about the Redeemer and God not being separate and being one. But you could have as easily mentioned in the New Testament where it says I and the Father are one. Yeah, and of course, well, I mean that's the problem.
same claim.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is that if you read on, it says, "I am in the Father is in me, and I am in you." So this idea of me being in someone or someone being in someone else, I mean, the disciples.
Should I answer that?
No, it's fine. But no,
can answer the
I know,
answer.
but it will go on
If
for.
you're interested
It will go. It will go
I
on for.
will- I
It will
will
go.
answer that.
It will go on forever. My
Okay,
point.
that's fine.
My point is that you seem to have this literalistic approach when we're saying that I am in someone and someone is in me. Unless you want to bring the disciples, all 12 of them, into the Trinity to make it 15 gods, then this idea of being in someone doesn't actually mean that
Let
it's
me
someone.
address that. Let me address it. I have to address it.
Go ahead.
Because the way you did it, the way you present it, it sounds like funny, but it's not. He talks about when he says, as me and my Father are one, in that essence of doing one thing, he was saying, you also be one with another. What was the mission? Is to go and spread the gospel.
All right, great.
So they become one
Yes, in mission.
doing one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the oneness is implying here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not saying that you one and you become one.
Yeah, of course, that's what I'm
It's
saying.
in the common,
No, but that's I agree with you.
common Go,
No,
common goal
goal.
to
That,
do
no, but
something
that's what I'm saying to
which
you.
is unique.
No, but I agree
So,
with.
but there's nothing
no,
that,
but I agree with you.
specific about
No, what I'm saying to you is just in the same way as Jesus said to the disciples, "I am the Father is in me, and I'm in you," right? And so that doesn't mean there's 15 gods.
No,
I'm saying also you have to the way you are intelligently able to decipher and understand that doesn't mean that there's some shared essence here and shared center of consciousness. It just means that they're one in goal and mission.
Yes,
I'm saying
exactly,
yeah,
that's what I'm
exactly.
saying.
Yeah, I agree with that. That God's mission,
when we talk about Jesus, look, I presented to you his divinity based on the
No,
old
yeah,
scriptures.
yeah, yeah. No, what I'm saying
Okay.
to you, but here's what I'm saying to you: is that, you're looking at these verses, trying to create tenuous links.
I'm not.
Yeah, but
It's
what-
why they understood the prophets.
I know,
That's
but
what I'm saying.
I understand.
It's not me.
I understand,
It's
but what,
not my.
I have no qualm whatsoever with Old Testament prophecies about Jesus coming and being the Redeemer. I accept those, no problem.
But is that concept within the Islam?
Yeah, we believe in the
It's
second.
not.
We believe in the
It's not.
second. We
It's
believe
not.
in the second coming of Jesus Christ.
on.
We believe in this. We believe in the second coming of Jesus Christ. We believe in the
Do you
second.
believe it's divine?
We don't
That
believe
is
in no, but
do
it
you-
doesn't. That's the point I'm making.
I'm saying-
in the
but-
book of in the book of Isaiah chapter 44 that you mentioned, and the book of Daniel chapter 19 that you mentioned, in the book of John chapter 10 verse 33 that you mentioned, in none of those places does it say Jesus is divine.
What do you mean?
It doesn't say Jesus
It's
is.
so clear. When
Does-
even you quote
but- okay. Sorry.
John
sorry.
17,
Marco,
you quote
Marco.
John 17.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Marco,
when
please.
he says you the only, you
Yeah.
the Father. only
Marco,
to
it
true
does
God.
not mention
I'm
that
just saying,
Jesus
I'm
is
just
divine.
saying.
It doesn't say Jesus is
No,
divine.
it does. It says
Okay,
you
please
the
show
only-
me where it says that.
You the only true God, and I said me and my brother are something. We are united. We are, we share the same thing.
I get what you're saying, but
we share the same
the
thing.
problem with
That's why it's me.
the linguistic construction was that you are the only true God, and Jesus who
It's not gonna go on for-
but and Jesus who you have and Jesus who you have sent. So there's
It's a oneness.
Okay.
You see, what I was
Okay.
trying to represent,
Yeah,
the same oneness is in the Old Testament.
All right.
God claiming
But
to be
like
one.
you said.
It's the same. Jesus was claiming him
Okay.
and God as
so
one.
in some
That's
depth,
all it
all
is.
I'm saying, in some
It's
depth,
clear.
what's clear is that in the Old Testament you have prophets talk about one God, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam talks about one God, and Christianity talks about three in one and one in three.
Mohammed,
That's the clearest thing.
You did not address my point because I don't think you went deep to address my point. But I
Okay,
appreciate having this conversation.
Me too.
But
Thank
I
you so
hope the audience
Yeah,
will.
thank you.
Do me a favor before you go, yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Thank you, brother.
Sorry, can you ask him about the black spot?
No, we'll do it,
No,
we'll do it
sorry.
later.
Is that a long one?